out Sub Pop Records December 10th, and it's called Observatory.
Yep. And why is it called Observatory?
You know, it's really kind of linked to my son. I have two boys. My one boy has autism,
right.
And you know, it's sort of kind of life-changing kind of experience, that's for sure.
Yep.
You know, and you know, beautiful child, so happy, wonderful, just a very different experience, right? A different life, and just his whole way of interacting and communication, because you know he's verbal but not really, and his understanding level is pretty low in that way, but he just sort of observes everything, right? I mean, he's always in tune, but just sort of in ways that so it's sort of inspired by him, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, the opening track is something called Hold On, which almost sounds like a lullaby. Is that kind of where it from?
Yeah, it sort of is a little bit of like a lullaby, you know, a little bit of kind of a, I don't know, mantra or motif, you know, that kind of is placed through the record, just about, you know, that your time, your journey is so limited and so, right, so fragile.
Yes.
Right. So enjoy what you have, kind of thing.
Exactly. Now, according to the press release that I got along with this, this is an epic statement, more than a decade in the making. And so for folks who aren't aware of the backstory behind this album, you were in a band called the Wrens, and you had some exciting records that came out a lot, like 20 plus years ago.
Exactly. It's been you know, just like you in your journey with New Zealand, we started in the 90s.
Right.
Actually, we started in '89. I mean, it's
really
we're definitely like old school punk rock, you know, DIY before there was anything, and yeah, it was just a incredible, great band of brothers, right? Essentially, and we lived with each other in the house for like 15 years, worked in the same place, and created records, and you know, a lot of independent records, a lot of traveling. We never made it to Asia, or you know, to the Pacific. You know, never made it in that area, but certainly all of the US and Europe and stuff like that. So yeah, we made a bunch of records. It took us hard. It was hard for us to make records, and it just kept getting longer and longer to make it. So
yeah, but this is when you say longer, I mean, this is long.
yeah. I mean, some of these songs at this point I've been working on for like 14 years. I shouldn't say I've been working on, but they sort of started in that way. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And then I was finished with them quite a long time ago. It's almost like a different person ago.
Yeah.
Well, half the record, I shouldn't say that, half the record was like that. And then the other half was done within like 3 months.
Right. No, that's not bad.
It's getting better.
And you did work with your former Wren mates, right? As far because one of them
did,
is your brother.
I've always I worked with the fellow, you know, Wren mates, and the majority, in all honesty, the majority of the guitars and the basses and vocals and pianos and stuff like that, I would do myself, and you know, that's sort of the way the Wrens even kind of behaved. But the drums were there, and you know, from the Wrens drummer, and you know, contributions, you know, whether just by, you know, being in the room or what have you. But yeah, that's for half of the record, and the other half was just all me with some of the drummer in particular playing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do you look at this as a new group, a solo effort, an extension of the Wrens? How do you think people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I certainly look at it as a new project. Right? You know, I haven't. That's the first time anyone's asked me the question, so you have to bear with me as I kind of
start making them up now. The answers.
Yeah, but I think it really is. It's a different project. It's a vehicle for the music, because I've always loved music. I just, you know, I wanted to get it out there, and you know, again, time is so limited, and you never know what's around the corner, right?
Yeah. And so the tracks that were kind of made in the 3-month period, the newer ones, when were they mostly recorded? Was it during lockdown?
Yeah,
COVID,
it's actually, you know, that's sort of what happened, you know, through COVID. You know, as many artists in all kind of forums, just you didn't have, you know, you really had a focused time, and really it was kind of recorded across 4 days, you know, studio time.
Right.
And I'd never been in a studio before, so that was really cool, and worked with this guy, Tom Beaujour, who made a lot of records for like Not a Surf, and, you know, really just a wonderful guy, and kind of knocked it out really fast. And that was done, it was really kind of finished March of this year.
Oh, well, that's not that long ago, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty fresh.
Pretty fresh. I love it because, I mean, let's face it, there's a thing. I mean, it's fresh and yet it's 14 years
stale.
old.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
And are you planning on presenting these in a live context as well? Are you going to play out?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure that out, right? There's some questions, thoughts around how to kind of pull it together, potentially, maybe South by Southwest or other kind of festivals and things. That's the lucky side of being doing this for so long, right? A lot of nice networks and connections. And
right.
So yeah, definitely pull it through. That'll be fun.
Now, so far, the only song that's been released officially is a song called Queens.
Yeah.
Which, according to what I've read, is somewhat inspired by ABBA. Is that true?
Yeah. It is a little inspired by ABBA, almost sort of like the chord progression and the big pianos. But really, I mean, whether you like ABBA or you don't like ABBA, you can't argue that vocal take is just so triumphant. And the way it kind of goes and it builds, right, from this small story to this big epic kind of, view of things. It's sort of like a different take on that gambling type of thing, because I think everybody gambles in one way or another, right? And that's where it was that's the homage in that way.
Right.
And my wife sings on it,
right,
which is super cool.
That's nice.
And wanted to get a female voice in there, so that helps.
Cool. And were you excited about the ABBA reunion or their reemergence or whatever it is?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to be able to change the economy of the world. Everybody likes. Could you imagine? I mean, if ABBA plays in New Zealand, probably the entire country will go to the concert.
Yeah, I would.
Or if they play in anywhere, right? England, the whole country will go probably.
So it's just going to be their abattoirs, or no, that's not the right word. But some kind of digital representation of them that will be traveling around, I think.
Yes, the avatars. I don't know if you're working for them, but you might want to give them a call. Like, I think I have a marketing angle for you.
Now back to your music. So when you were, especially when you're writing the newer songs, were you doing music in the interim, in the 10 to 14? Not at all.
Not a drop of it. I mean, I really kind of stopped recording all the music for the 5 songs in 2014.
Right.
Literally, it was like a mummy in a pyramid. It just stayed there, never changed.
Right.
And then I would, strum at the home and do whatever. But no, I was just sort of waiting and hoping. And then kind of, kids and like I said, I moved over to Asia Pacific, but I'm certainly hoping that it would come. It took a long time.
So now you're done waiting.
I'm done waiting. I certainly am.
Was there something that brought you to that point where you're just like, nope, I'm going to put this stuff out now?
I think it was partly, I just couldn't. Number one, I couldn't wait anymore. I just couldn't believe that it was going to get done. There was only so many times I can kind of be told that it was going to come together, and then I was like, what, this is not worth it. These are just rock songs. This isn't changing the world. And then I think, then sort of seeing my son grow up and that kind of tough environment and how they enjoy, music. My autistic kid really enjoys music, and then I think just with COVID, I was like, and personal, a lot of personal death actually was kind of going on. I was like, what, I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm done with this. I'm putting it out. I want to have, I just want to share it. I'm proud of it. Like I told Sub Pop, and they were super cool. I was like, if 4 people like it, I'm done. I've been doing this too long to have weird views of things.
All right. Now, one track I wanted to touch on is called Everything at Once, which kind of has this kind of power poppy kind of.
Yeah.
Why is it never the good times can rewind to places where all of this could be corrected all the time?
So Everything at Once sort of has, it's sort of like your driver. It's like your rock song that's kind of, right across the plate, which is sort of different than all the other songs, because all the other songs sort of go like this.
Yep.
or they kind of stay here.
Right.
This one sort of just travels in a nice way, like a nice rock way. It has some cool, I was really proud of like, how it kind of was structured and, and the chords, musically. And then the story is just around, sometimes you just kind of can't figure out what to say to somebody, right? I think that's really the arc of that conversation. There's so many times you wish you could go back and say something different or whatever, but sometimes just you can't get it together.
Gotcha.
That happens.
Now you mentioned that half the songs are kind of old and half are new.
Yeah.
Will the listener be able to tell which ones are which, do you think?
It's funny. No. And that's sort of a bit of I'd be honest with you, Barney, I'm kind of enjoying the game because people are like, which ones are which? And so far they're kind of wrong. I'm like, no, that was written 3 weeks ago. Or the other one's like, yeah, that was written 13 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like, so that's really nice. And also, Marty, just because what it was, I was very, I'm very humble, right? I mean, like the recording studio is right here. That's the recording studio.
Oh yeah, there you go. I love it.
It's just like all the other musicians around the world. So I wanted to make sure that the same level of, genuine sound to it. And then when I went into the studio with Tom, he was able to make things sound a little bit better, but he knew aesthetically how to marry the two.
Right. So do you think about the legacy of what you've done in the past? Is that another reason why you decided to pick up and start again?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I'm so proud, right? You figure I started the band when I was 16 and I never played a show with anyone else. I never did anything. And that's pretty odd. You know what I mean? Then you live with somebody, you live with them for 15 years. I mean, it's pretty intense. It's definitely a unique story in its craziness, right? And also with it's a decision. So I would say the legacy is more, Marty, the legacy was just like people that love to do art and have to like pay rent. I don't know. Like our legacy is not, I don't know, I love so many Australia bands.
People are going to be very interested in this record because, and of course the music industry has changed completely since those days. So it's got to be kind of a strange thing to be involved in it now.
Yeah. I mean, our first record contract, we got through a fax machine.
I love it.
Me and the drummer were sitting there watching it come through the fax machine. So, and nowadays, but yeah, I think there is, and it's really nice that there's this much interest, right? That's great. I think it just speaks to the music and the work. And like I said, what we had was very similar to a lot of people, right?
Yep.
Just I have a job and I have to do music.
Yeah. Yep. So I've seen it kind of referred to as 3/4 of the Wrens, this band.
I guess. I'd say yes. And my brother's kind of in there, like he does some, but not much.
Yeah.
The drummer definitely, because you always need drums, and the drummer's always crazy. Doesn't matter what band and anywhere in the world, they're all sort of wonderfully amazing people, drummers. Right. But in reality, it's not a Wrens like or a Wrens side thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not that at all, right? That's for sure.
And of course, the 3/4, the 1/4 being that's not there is Charles. So do you have any relationship with him at all? I don't know what it must be like.
My life relationship with him is since I was 18. So it's nothing but, love and respect. And there's always that it's impossible not to, right? So, I just cannot say enough how much I love what we have done, and I still hope to do more. That's that's my view of things.
In the meantime, you got this.
Yeah, right. It's a wonderful experience. I get to meet. I wouldn't have met you, Marty.
I'm not sure if that's a reason to make a record, but I'll go with it.
It is actually. But like I said, because when you've been doing it as long as I have in that way, you really start to realize what's actually it really is about this. Because the fact that when my wife and I, when I saw that email come in, and being very honest with you, we were fucking so psyched.
Really?
Oh my God, I shit you not. We were so excited. Really, did you see the thing from New Zealand? Like, holy shit, you got to tell him how much we love it, and we've been there, and we're going to go.
Oh,
so
man.
yeah,
All
actually,
right.
I mean, I can get all heavy and artistic and all that crap, which I do because I want the record to speak in that way.
Right.
But no, it's why to make it for sure.
Crikey. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for talking to me. I mean,
thank you so much for taking your time. If you ever need anything, just, let me know. And I hope we get to play in your
that would
house.
be awesome. Come on up. Don't forget.
That would be so great. I promise.
All right, we'll
All
see
right,
you.
man. All the best. See you, Mark.
Have a great
Bye.
day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.